Hello, my tiny humans. This is our last document that we are looking at for our Mansa Musa um, activity before we start corroborating all of the evidence that we have looked at. So we have one final time a document. This one is a text again, just like document A was, and some questions. So, as always, do we read the text first or do we read the questions first? That's right. We read the questions first so that we know what we're looking for when we actually read the document. Follow along with me either on your paper. Oh, speaking of, we are on the blue paper this time. So follow along with me either on your paper or on the screen. Number 1, sourcing. Who is al-Umari? Do you think he is a reliable source of information on Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca? Why or why not? Number 2, corroboration. How does this document compare to the Huffington Post blog post and the Catalan Atlas in terms of its depiction of Mansa Musa? Number 4, close reading. How does the Emir Abu describe Mansa Musa to al-Umari? According to the Emir Abu, what traits does Mansa Musa possess? Number 4, do you think al-Umari's description of Mansa Musa is accurate? Why or why not? And number 5, in the text, underline evidence to support the claim made by the Huffington Post's article. So now that we know what we're looking for, let's go ahead and read the text. Document C, al-Umari. Al-Umari was an Arab historian from Damascus, Syria. He visited the city of Cairo in Egypt several years after Mansa Musa passed through there on his pilgrimage in 1324 Common Era. He then wrote this account of Mansa Musa's visit as told to him by the people of Cairo. So before we move on, we have to be critical historical thinkers. Did al-Umari, the author of the document that we're about to read, ever meet Mansa Musa? No. He is going to tell us his story as told to him by someone else. So keep that in mind as we go through. So now we're reading the text. From the beginning of my coming to stay in Egypt, I heard talk of the arrival of this Sultan Mansa. Hold on, this word's in bold. This word's in bold. This word's in bold. This word's in bold. Oh my gosh. I'm going to preview the vocabulary. I know that when the word is in bold, and that means it's a vocabulary word, and I'll look down at the bottom. Oh my gosh, there are 6 vocabulary words. Ooh, okay, I say you say. Sultan means king. Emir is a high-ranking title. Opulence means great wealth, especially shown by extravagant living. Piety is religious devotion. Incalculable means huge. And depressed means lowered. So it's like press a button, depress, yes? Okay. Okay, so as we go through, we'll remind ourselves what the vocabulary words mean. So, from the beginning of my coming to stay in Egypt, I heard talk of the arrival of this Sultan, this king, Musa, on his pilgrimage, and found the people of Cairo eager to tell what they had seen of the Africans' extravagant spending. I asked the Emir Abu, so the high-ranking title, so like a really important person politically. I asked the Emir Abu, and he told me of the opulence, so the extravagance, the like things covered in gold and very, very expensive and rich. He told me of the opulence, manly virtues, and piety of his sultan. Remember, piety means religious devotion. Abu said, when I went out to meet him, Musa did me the extreme honor and treated me with the greatest courtesy. He addressed me, however, only through an interpreter, despite his perfect ability to speak in the Arabic tongue. Then he sent to the royal treasury many loads of unworked native gold and other valuables. I tried to persuade him to go up to the citadel to meet the Sultan of Cairo, and he refused persistently, saying, I came for the pilgrimage and nothing else. I do not wish to mix anything else with my pilgrimage. So he seems like a very pious, very religious man. Continuing on, in our second paragraph. Mansa Musa flooded Cairo with his gifts. He left no emir or holder of a royal office without the gift of a load of gold. The people of Cairo made incalculable profits. Remember, incalculable means huge. So, the people of Cairo made incalculable profits out of him and his caravan in buying and selling and giving and taking. They traded away gold until they depressed its value in Egypt and caused its price to fall. This has been the state of affairs for about 12 years until this day by reason of the large amount of gold which they brought into Egypt and spent there. So we've read it. If you need to, rewind or pause the video, read it yourself again, and we are going to go down and answer the questions. So, who is Al-Umari? Do you think he is a reliable source of information on Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca? And then why or why not? So we're going to go back to the introduction. Al-Umari, it is our very first sentence, was an Arab historian from Damascus, Syria. So you're going to copy that down. Remember, quotation marks and the citation. That's the introduction paragraph. And then it is your opinion. Do you think he is a reliable source of information on Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca? So your sentence starter is, I think he is a reliable source. And then finish the sentence. Or, I think he is not a reliable source. Now, we have done the racist strategy a few times in this class, so I know that you guys are going to completely restate the sentence to answer the question, and you're going to cite your evidence, right? So you're answering both parts of the question. Number one, who is Al-Umari? And number two, do you think he is a reliable source of information on Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca, and why or why not? Okay? Pause this video because you need time to write this down. Moving on, number two, how does this document compare to the Huffington Post blog post and the Catalan Atlas in terms of its depiction of Mansa Musa? So for this, you are going to explain that all of them say the same thing, or documents A and B say one thing and document C says a different thing, or they all three say different things. You're right. All three of them say the same thing. So we'll say this document compares to, spell it right, Hawkins, compares to the Huffington Post blog post and the Catalan Atlas in terms of its depiction of Mansa Musa. We'll fix my spelling mistake. So this document compares to the Huffington Post blog post and the Catalan Atlas in terms of its depiction of Mansa Musa, because all three say the same thing about him. And then I'm going to give you a sentence stem and you will finish the sentence. All of these documents, we're going to use a tier 3 vocabulary word. So instead of saying describe him or depict him, we are going to say they portray Mansa Musa as a man who is, and then you get to finish the sentence. Again, pause. Oops, there we go. Again, pause this video, copy this down, and finish the sentence. Number 3, close reading. How does the Emir Abu describe Mansa Musa to Al-Umari? According to the Emir Abu, what traits does Mansa Musa possess? So here we have to go back to the text, and we are looking for direct evidence. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to be in paragraph 1. We're looking for direct evidence of what the Emir Abu says about Mansa Musa. Once you have found it, you are going to copy it word for word. Copy the evidence word for word without changing anything. What two things are you going to include to show that this is not your information? You got it. Make sure to include quotation marks and the paragraph citation. Again, pause the video, go ahead and do the work. And then number 4, do you think all Umari's description of Mansa Musa is accurate? Why or why not? So raise the strategy, restate the sentence or restate the question. You're going to say, I think, because it's asking, what do you think? So you'll say, I think all Umari's description of Mansa Musa is accurate because, or you'll say, I think all Umari's description of Mansa Musa is not accurate because. And as always, include at least 2 sentences of explanation. That's the E in the racist strategy, right? Because it's restate, answer, cite it with your proper citation, and then explain and then sum it up. So if you want to add a sum up in here also, go for it. And then finally, the last thing that we are doing for this activity, in the text, underline evidence to support the claim made by the Huffington Post article. So for this, you are going back to your pink paper. You remember we wrote down the claim? The claim of the article, the Huffington Post article, was that Mansa Musa is the richest person ever. So in this document, in document C on the blue paper, you are looking for evidence that agrees with the Huffington Post's claim that Mansa Musa was the richest person ever. And you will underline that. I'm telling you right now, there is a lot of evidence in this text that shows that Mansa Musa was the richest person ever. So you should have at least 2 things underlined, if not more. As always, if you have questions, if you need help, if you need support, please contact me. And yeah, be good people, make good choices. Go Vikings.